Welcome to the first episode of Letters and Numbers, a quiz show in which two contestants pit their lexical dexterity and mathematical agility against each other and the clock. I'm Richard Morecroft, and it is very exciting to be bringing Letters and Numbers to Australia for the first time. It's a format that's a true global phenomenon, airing in countries around the world, including France since the 1960s and the UK since the 80s. And of course, we're hoping the show will be just as popular here. We certainly have a great team to help that happen, and first of all, I'd like to introduce a young mathematician for whom an algorithm is simply second nature. Please welcome Lily Serna.
Thanks, Richard.
Now, Lily, you are a research mathematician. How do you feel about this foray into television?
Well, it's certainly a long way away from computational fluid dynamics, but I think I'm really excited about having some fun with numbers.
We look forward to sharing many equations, so welcome, Lily. And also giving us some expert help on letters and numbers is a man who has a definite way with words, David Astle. Now, David, amongst many talents, you are technically a cruciverbalist. But what exactly is a cruciverbalist?
Look, it is a technical term, and a fancy term at that. Essentially, it's describing someone who likes to make crosses out of words or crosswords, coming from the Latin cruci, as into cross or crucifix, and verbal as into verbalise. So it really is a bit of a smokescreen for someone who loves to dabble with words.
Well, we love to dabble with words on this show, and it's time now to introduce two very important people who are going to do just that. Tonight's contestants. And our first contestant is Chris Scholten Smith, a secondary teacher of literature, Latin, the ancient classics, and Chinese. Actually, Chris, that's a pretty interesting combination, Latin and Chinese. How did you come to choose both?
Well, when I was at school, Latin was still a compulsory subject, and later on in life I actually went and lived and worked in China, in Nanjing, which was a wonderful experience, and so that's how the other passion was awakened.
Well, we look forward to sharing lots of language tonight. Our next contestant is Elaine Miles, who's studying a PhD in physics and arts conservation, writing a thesis on the non-destructive testing of artwork. Elaine is also part of a knitting group called Yarn Core. So welcome, Elaine. I mean, that's irresistible. How hardcore is Yarn Core?
Oh, it's very serious business, Richard. It's a group of 20 physicists, and we've been knitting for the past 3 years, made over 100 items, including some for street festivals.
It sounds like a good way to use those knitting needles. Welcome tonight.
Thank you.
So good luck to our first Letters and Numbers contestants, Chris Scholten Smith and Elaine Miles. Our first game tonight is the letters game. One contestant is going to choose 9 letters, including at least 3 vowels and 4 consonants. Both will then try to make the longest word that they can using the selected letters. And the player who uses the most letters will get the points. 1 point for each letter used, and they will have just 30 seconds in which to do it. And Chris, could you select the first letters, please?
Okay, Richard. Lily, could I start with the consonant, please?
You can, thanks, Chris. And the first letter of the show is T.
And a vowel?
O.
And a consonant?
L.
And another vowel, thanks.
I.
A consonant, thanks.
N.
And a vowel.
E.
2 more consonants, thanks.
G and S.
And a vowel to finish, thanks.
And finally, I.
Thank you, Lily, and 30 seconds from now. So, how did you go, Chris?
I got a 7.
And you, Elaine?
I think I have an 8.
You think you have an 8? Let's hear your 7 first, Chris.
Toiling.
And your 8, Elaine?
Oh, toilings.
Toilings, the plural version. What do you think, David?
What a controversial start to the show. And looking here, you have taken a risk there, Elaine, and your risk has paid off. Congratulations. Toilings is acceptable as a plural. And the best you can find from that mix. So a great start. Well played.
A great start, and 8 points to Elaine. So straight on to our second letter game now. And Elaine, your choice this time.
Thanks, Richard. Lily, can I please have a vowel?
You can. Thanks, Elaine. Starting with an A.
Another vowel?
O.
A consonant?
M.
Another consonant?
R.
A consonant?
T.
Another vowel?
U.
Another vowel?
I.
Consonant?
Y.
And lastly, another vowel, thanks.
And finally, we've got an E.
And your time starts now. So, Elaine, how did you go?
I came up with a 5-letter word.
And Chris?
I had a 6-letter word.
What's your 5, Elaine?
It's retoy.
Retoy, that's an interesting one. Chris, what was yours?
I had matier.
So, a couple of risky words there, David.
Yeah, they don't mind a little bit of brinkmanship, Elaine and Chris, that's for sure. Let's have a check here. And matey is acceptable as an adjective, but not in the comparative form. So unfortunately, matier is not a word. And as for retoy, that again seems quite a risky play to toy again, I presume, Elaine. And again, no cigar on that occasion either. So, in fact, the best that I could manage was a fairly obscure fertiliser called muriate, M-U-R-I-A-T-E. So a very unfriendly mix there.
So you don't find that down at your garden centre?
No.
OK, well, no score for either Chris or Elaine, meaning that the scores still stand. Chris, no points, Elaine on 8. Our next game is the numbers game. One contestant chooses a mix of 6 numbers and then both try to get as close to the randomly generated target number as they can. Each chosen number can only be used once, along with the basic principles of maths. That's addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. There are points available depending on just how close they get to that target number. And again, just 30 seconds in which to do it. So Chris, your first selection, please.
Could I have 2 large numbers and 4 small? Thanks, Lily.
You can. Thanks, Chris. 2 large and 4 small. And starting with the smalls, we've got a 5, 7, 9, 2, 175. And the target number today is 557.
Thanks, Lily. 30 seconds to get there. Well, Chris, your pen's been down for a while. How did you go?
I got 557.
Well done. And what about you, Elaine?
I believe I got 557 as well.
OK, well, Chris, we asked you first. Let's get your method, if we could, please.
OK, Lily, I went 5 times 100 makes 500.
5 times the 100 is 500.
Plus 75.
Add the 75 is 575.
And then subtract 9 times 2.
And take away the 9 by the 2, which is 18, gives you 557.
Very neat indeed. Well done, Chris. What about you, Elaine? Was your method very similar?
Yes, it was.
Excellent. Maybe you could just show each other just to verify. And Lily, a very good approach.
Absolutely. Perfect.
A very clean beginning. Yeah. So 10 points each for those correct answers to both Elaine and Chris, bringing our scores to Chris on 10, Elaine on 18. Now, a challenge just for you. We need you to make a single 8-letter word from tonight's word mix, which is art radio. And your clue is heats your house but cools your car. Back after the break.